chosen to be I wouldn't say slave, but it's like that. I know I can't function anywhere else. I think the term, when I joined, I was just a consultant, okay, just to give you a background. We didn't have this clarity when we started. This was about 2017. I mean, a little bit I'll share when I just do a quick introduction. But I just knew I wanted to work on scaling companies without losing their soul. Because I had worked in Infosys. I mean, I started my career in Cognizant as a business analyst, worked in Infosys in their leadership institute, etc., etc. But by the time they were multi-lakh, so no matter how many talented people you take, there's only so much you can do, because the system is so big, you can't change things, right? No amount of training, no amount of good intentions, bringing in leaders from outside is going to change, because it's the Titanic. There's the iceberg. You can see the iceberg. Ship cannot move, right? You just have to make sure you save people. So I realized I can only crack this problem from the ground up. So that's why I was looking for companies with less than 100 people who had cracked the survival problem. When you don't have the survival problem, I mean, once you've cracked that problem is when you can focus on this problem. Otherwise, it's going to be it's not going to work. You'll be caught in two directions. So they've cracked the business model, they're getting steady revenue, and they are now actually scaling. They've started scaling, they wanted somebody to manage the scaling. So it was initially just a 3-month engagement. Suresh didn't know what he clearly wanted. He had an idea. I was more confident than I should have been. I thought it was a 3-month problem. Now it's almost 9 years. It's only been, the problems are only increasing. Maybe that's because of me. But the idea, it just seemed like a problem to solve. Hey, Kissflow is here. 1 or 2 years from now, you'll be there. How do you retain this when you're there? It was as simple as that. And then how do you build a system around it? Because the founder cannot be involved in everything. New people come in, they will have different expectations. Like he was saying, today because of Kissflow brand, some people have signed up, right? Or were interested in attending. There was no, we were called Orangescape. That is still the name of the parent company. Nobody knew us, right? But later on, people will come because of the brand name. They will have different reasons for joining. How do you ensure they have the same level of commitment, culture, etc.? All of these were things we wanted to think proactively rather than reactive. So my title was for a long time consultant. Then when it was only after almost a year and a half that we thought, okay, there is a formal, because the company doesn't have money to invest. I was just working part-time. I was pursuing my PhD side by side. That flopped. That's a different story. But I also didn't want to work full-time. And 1.5 years later, when they saw, okay, this guy has done something, and the organization also seems to accept this and sees value in this, is when they wanted to formalize the arrangement. At that time, the question was, what title do we give? I said, this was before X and all. So I said, just give me X. Like, I don't mind any title. Suresh said, we can't put X and all. That will cause problems. And then in 2 or 3 minutes, he came up with the title of Culture Shepherd. Right? It's like, it's some of those, it gives me a little bit of goosebumps. It's just something that emerges. It's not like, oh, you did research, go and find out what other companies are doing, what is it. At that time, since you asked, there is culture czar, there is culture, even people champion, I don't know. It makes it seem like the people ops function is very powerful. Actually, I mean, they shouldn't be. I feel we should just be in the background. The people should be working, doing all the great things. End of the day, the managers manage, the leaders lead. We just make sure things are happening smoothly. So the spotlight being on people ops is something I never wanted. So I didn't like those titles. Culture Shepherd still seem to have a serving mindset. I think that's what we were looking for. We are there to serve, and shepherd meant also that you have to kind of be responsible. Somebody said this, there is a difference between Middle East shepherds and Indian shepherds. Indian shepherds, where will they be? Aadu mekarna pinnadi irundha there will be. Actually, the original shepherds are actually in the front. right? They are the first line of defense in problems. So, when you talk about a shepherd, it's not behind the back, which is typically how HR is seen as, right? Like they'll come and do all of these policies, process, irritate you and not allow you to work happily, put a lot of rules, etc. But they are in the front, they are facing all the heat so that the sheep are doing. So, that is the idea of a shepherd. You are supposed to protect whatever it is, that domain in which the sheep are, and that's the thinking behind it. There is no junior culture shepherd, senior culture shepherd, right? My technical designation is something else, but this is more like a identifying for the external world to say this matters, and it's almost like a responsibility more than a designation or anything.
Okay, and correct me if I'm wrong. Like when I was like going through your LinkedIn like and things, so in your previous.
I hate LinkedIn. I don't. Okay. One of the things I don't really like about my job is that the amount of time I have to spend on LinkedIn. My brother asked me whether I get paid by LinkedIn for the amount of posts I put. I think that's something I do to encourage others, but that's a side point. Yeah, go ahead.
So in your previous role, you were actually trying to make bigger teams like chunk, or in a way you are trying to like make it like small and things, right? Now it is like opposite of like you are trying to, from small you are trying to go. So like in your previous role, or like what mindset shift like led you to this, and did you find that like that doesn't work in a way, or like you found some insight so that you want to do this, like how that happened?
Okay, I think that's a good question. For those of you who haven't stalked me on LinkedIn,
I was also like, just because of this talk I stopped.
No, it's good. I do that before I talk to people. Before this, I was with Infosys. So, okay, so the way it worked is, maybe I should share this. I always wanted to impact business. So, I was a marketing and consulting grad from MBA, right? I was completely averse to HR because I felt they didn't know anything about business, and so that's why they are in HR, right? So, that's a very wrong and simplistic mindset I had when I was doing my MBA. So, I was very clear, finance was not, I couldn't understand numbers. Any finance people here, I could never make the assets and liabilities balance, right? But I got into marketing and consulting, and then I was working as a business analyst, like I said, in Cognizant. There were about 35,000 people then, so really good. It was growing very fast. This was in probably 2006 is when I started. And then after a point of time, I realized, just like today, everybody wants to be a product manager or work in AI. That time, everybody wanted to become a business analyst, right? Because it seemed like the role to be, and you could go on site and all of that. So the quality of people started dropping. The work became boring. So then I realized, okay, Infosys, there is Infosys Leadership Institute. Okay, what I noticed was people's potential was wasted. Very smart people, IITs, IIMs, doing bullshit jobs, right? And thousands of people like that, earning very well, but doing bullshit jobs. So I felt, okay, people's potential is being wasted. How do you solve it? I thought they lack training or coaching or mentoring or whatever it is. So somebody in Infosys Leadership Institute called me and said, there is this role, just like most of you are in colleges now, there was something called Campus Connect. I don't know if it's still there. So I was part of that team. And said, okay, if you train people well enough, they will do better. So got into Infosys Leadership Institute, no background, jumped directly, did that. And then after some years, I realized, no matter what fancy training you have, what fancy campuses you have, somebody taught me this very interestingly. He said, you can train a person to swim all you want, and then if you put him in the desert, there is no use for his skills. So training became like that. In a classroom, everybody will enjoy everything. Fantastic, awesome training, they'll give great feedback. By the way, one of the ways to get great feedback is to give good food. Nothing to do with the training. This is something I learned from somebody who was 25 years my senior. So this kind of wisdom you won't get in books. But I realized whatever you train, it's not creating the impact because the environment is not allowing them to use any of the skills you're giving. So then Vishal Sikka took over. He was the first non-founder CEO of Infosys. Right? He came from SAP and he tried to change the company. So he came in, I don't know, maybe August, September, but October was when he fully took charge. 10th month, he wanted to bring 10 changes into the company. By that time, Infosys was about 3.5 lakh people strong. This must have been maybe 2014, I think, right? 2014, 15 maybe, around that time. So, to bring those 10 changes, like very simple. One of the changes was I don't know if you remember, Infosys used to have a tie rule. None of you, like, you know ties? Yeah. I don't know how old I am. So, Infosys had this rule that every Monday everybody has to wear ties. Why? The actual problem was 15, 20 years ago, when people first started going on site, they didn't know how to wear ties. So, to bring in that habit, Narayana Murthy has said it looks odd if they go to the client site and they are not wearing proper ties. It will be hanging here, it will be hanging here. Like, what is this? So, he brought in that rule. You bring in a rule, very easy to bring in rules, very, very difficult to remove rules. Right? Like this 10 changes he wanted to bring, 10 changes in the 10th month. But by that time, Infosys was multi-geographies. To bring one small change, oh man, the amount of things you had to do is crazy. Right? And then there was so much of resistance. Right? In 1.5 years, they kicked him out. Right? He was, and then I realized at a certain size, there's not much you can do. You just have to keep the engine running. Hopefully it doesn't derail, but that's about it. Like Tata is like what, 5-6 lakhs. Today I saw Accenture 6.5 lakhs. I mean, what can you do in that company, right? You can call yourself the CEO, but there's very little you can do, right? Because 6.5 lakh people, what do you do? So those were the problems of scaling, which I realized is a challenge. So you have to do it when you're small. Yeah.
Okay. So, like there is always this, like whatever you try, like told the example from Infosys, right? It's more a top-down approach and bottom-up approach, right? I like personally, I believe like culture change and things should be more of a top-down approach, right? Or should it be bottom-up approach?
Can I quickly run through this?
Yeah,
I think maybe it'll answer some of your questions.
Sure.
I'll do this quickly, and then maybe if your questions are on top of that, I can. Otherwise, I might miss some of these things.
Sure.
Okay, number one, again, I'm very sorry I'm late. What was interesting was I was next door at, what is that, Terminal 2? This cafe at 8:45. Then I was at Ananda's at 9:45. Right? So I've been on. Then I went. I saw the Google Map and I went off to the airport. Right. So this is a whole mess. It's my fault. I should have probably planned early. Usually, one thing Infosys taught me is to be on time. Right. My team knows on time means before time also. Right. All right. Just quickly, I just wanted to share a little bit. I am from Coimbatore, but I've been in Chennai for since I was 21. So it's almost now it's technically half my life has been in Chennai. That moment when more than half my life became Chennai, it was a very difficult moment for me. Till then, at least I could say majority of my life was in Coimbatore. So every time I used to come in the train, I don't know how it was, Thiru and I mean Thiru is my friend from college. So Adayar side we used to stay, so there we'll take the train and come here. Every time I land in that Coimbatore station junction, this is my face. I mean, I was slightly thinner then, but face was the same iPod, and you'll be thinking, wow, what am I missing? What am I doing in Chennai? So I studied here in Kamal Garden. Anybody heard of the school? Yeah. Studied there? No.
I'm a student there.
You were a student there? Wow. Must have not been born when. I passed out in 2000. Yeah, imagine you're celebrating turn of the millennium and I'm studying for 12th standard public exam. One of the many reasons I didn't do well. Then I did my college in Ramakrishna, engineering. At that time, nobody knew the college. Kumaraguru, Ramakrishna, Sri Krishna, all were very young colleges then. So Thiru was my batchmate there, electrical engineering. And then I did my management MBA in IIT. So that's when I moved to simply because I didn't get a job and I didn't like software coding, etc.
Which IIT you did MBA?
Madras.
Madras.
Yeah, DOMS, Department of Management Study. Yeah,
I was an aspirant, MBA aspirant. I was looking at Roorkee and all these things.
yeah.
Finally ended up doing masters
Where?
in Singapore, National
Okay.
University.
Oh, National University. Okay.
I was afraid of my technical education, then I was looking for MBA. Then I realized IT is easier than MBA.
No, I think I found my calling in MBA. I really enjoyed. In fact, still in touch with that ex HOD, Professor Ganesh, amazing guy. So that's the background. So anything. So when Dinesh told me, "Can you talk?" I said, "It's in Coimbatore only, no problem. Anyway, 1.5 months I'll come and with this face, and you tell me which Saturday. It's my pleasure to come here." Yeah, so I was sending my friends photos. Morning breakfast at 7:30 in Anandas, not this one, the one near that Lulu Mall, right? So my heart is here, my mind and my body is in Chennai. Kissflow, I think anybody here who hasn't heard of Kissflow? By the way, you said ground up or what? The name Kissflow itself came from the employees. It was a competition. Let's see the best name. So some names came up, and yeah, it's interesting. In some cases, democracy is really good. So Kissflow is a low-code, no-code work automation platform. Pretty much any internal operations of the company that is done either through pen, paper, emails, Excel sheets, all this. We call it the messy middle, right? Typically, customer-facing, they'll have a nice Salesforce or SAP, CRM, blah blah blah, ERPs they'll have, but internal operations manage பண்றது, whether it's leave management, attendance, whether it's purchase, whatever it is, they'll all have, each one will have their own software or their own way of doing it. It's very difficult to coordinate all of it. To make that simple is to run your company in a very simple manner is what Kissflow does, right? So the middle is where we do, and yeah, some exciting things are coming up in the product as well. There are many customers. Even if you haven't heard of the company as much, you would have heard most of our customers, right? And this list is only growing now, right? But yeah, it's an exciting time for the company, especially with AI coming in. We are doing something with AI, and we are doing something only on AI. So there's a branch of point that the company has hit, right? So which is we are able to see it from the inside. But end of the day, it's always the people. I don't know, Dinesh might be here somewhere. Irundingla at the time, yeah. So end of the day, it's just the people. We are about 275 people right now across the globe. Very few people in the US, Dubai, Philippines. I think that's about it. Dubai, Philippines. Yeah, a little bit in India here and there. Primarily in Chennai, we are about 220 odd people in Chennai. And we were at a peak, we were about little over 400. But then we felt that's not, like you were asking about scaling. Scaling does not necessarily mean headcount increase. It is increase of impact. There is always this feeling that bigger is better. We realized that's not true. Better might make you bigger, but not necessarily. The aim is to get better. Better predictability, better revenue, better all of that. If you're getting big is helping you with that, that's fine. But we realize not necessarily, right? So the people first culture has always been there, right? Now, having said this, the next 15-20 minutes, I'm going to share things which are not prescriptions, right? If you go to any HR, MBA or whatever it is, or if you talk to proper HR people, they'll give you something completely different. I'm telling you things that have worked from our perspective. It is just a point of view. Not saying they are wrong. All I'm saying is ours is a very unique take on culture. Like he said, the way we do this is very different, right? It's worked for us. Hopefully, it'll give you things to think about, not necessarily directly apply. Please do not directly apply everything I'm putting here. It's just for you to have points of view, right? In between, if you have any questions, let me know, right? But when you're listening, just listen to try and understand, not immediately try and apply it. Yeah. By the way, the reason I asked you about culture is anything, we'll come to this. Yeah, maybe we'll come to this. I shared this. Do you know what picture this is? If you listen to previous, I think you guys were talking about it, Vishwa, is it?
Yeah.
The person who drew this. Do you know who drew this? Da Vinci. Yeah. What's this image called? Who drew Mona Lisa? That all we know. This guy. Okay, this is same guy. Da Vinci drew this. It's called the Vitruvian Man. Basically, the ideal man. Apparently, the proportion. This is how. So he drew this. I think around 1490 or something. The reason I'm sharing this is what got me into all of this is not HR culture, doing good for. I believe, like I said, the wasted potential is what I told you about. I believe people are capable of doing fantastic things, amazing things, right? But somehow there is this thing, no? We use only what 10%, 20% of our brain. Something is there. I believe even with the 10-20% of brain, we are not able to do. See, so my whole goal has always been, how do you maximize human potential? Like it's like after a good workout, you feel like, what is a good workout is, you feel like you are dying, like you found the limits of your body. Then 1 week later you go and do, you found that you have exceeded the limits. So basically you haven't hit your limits yet, but every time you're doing it, you're finding your limits. Your body is screaming, your mind is screaming, cannot do one more rep, all of that, right? So my fundamental belief is there is this person, and how do you get this out, right? So this is the belief system that drives us. We believe people can do amazing things. How do you facilitate that? That is the thing. Not how do you enforce that, right? How do you facilitate that? How do you bring that? The word Kissflow uses is unleash, right? We want to unleash people. We don't want to train them. Right? That is your job. Learning is your job. Being motivated is your job. We are not going to come and do all of that. But if you are motivated and if you are hungry, we will give you a place where you can be unleashed. Right? So that is the word. Unleashed basically means you do things that not only surprise your manager, but it surprises you also. You didn't know you could do it. Do you experience those moments at work? Right? Any team that you're a part of, college, work, home, whatever it is. Right? So when you ask me about culture, etc., this is the thing that everybody wants to have a great culture, right? Like it's like everybody wants a six-pack. Anybody doesn't want six-pack? No. Those people, those people also want a six-pack. They don't want to say they want a six-pack. I'm like that. But the thing is, this is like that, right? Like everybody says, oh, good culture. I want to work in a company with a great culture. All that is fine. But what is reality? So first, before I tell you what is culture, I should tell you what culture is not, right? This is not culture. You might see a lot of LinkedIn posts, Instagram posts. If you are saying I have to keep, like if people are like this and laughing and enjoying and flash mobs are not there anymore. Huh? I have to find today's, what do they do today? Like, I mean, flash mobs, Balla?
Go-kart.
Reels, good, reels, right? The more reels they put, the happier they are. This is not culture. This is nice, but this is not culture, again, in my opinion. Number two, culture is not getting one HR person to come every Friday and take you for outings or take you for lunch and do some Friday engagement, fun Friday, etc., etc. That is maybe part of your culture, but that is not culture, right? Typically, if you do like this, it's fun, but it's not fun. Culture is not something that will solve all your other problems. It's not like something I come and do, all problems, everybody suddenly becomes happy, all problems in the business company are handled. Because why? We have a good culture. No. Right? It's not going to be solving if you have other problems. Right? You should understand the limitations of culture. Culture is not divorced from business, right? If it is not helping you get results, there is a problem. You can't say I have a good results, but good culture, but we are not doing well as a company. That means there's something fundamentally wrong in the understanding of culture or your culture itself, right? It has to align. Culture in our mind is an environment that produces results consistently. What is the environment that gets the best results consistently and leaves people also happy? Like Kada was saying, come to office happily. You come to office happily, you are happy. You get results, founder is happy. Both are happy, that is culture. One or the other, not culture. No, neither is there, that is a different problem, right? Then I would say that's not a company also. Lastly, since you asked top down or ground up, culture cannot be outsourced. You cannot as a founder say, I don't have time for culture, the HR will do it, or you do it, no? Like that's one thing I liked about what Vishwa was sharing, CTA, right, last time. He was hands-on involved in shaping and running the culture, right? Culture is, especially if you're founders or you're starting your company, if the leadership is not involved, people will know, if you are not spending time, it's not important. Then why are you asking us to do? So it cannot be outsourced. You cannot imitate somebody else's culture. Oh, I saw this on LinkedIn, that company is doing that, can I do this? You can try to understand what they are doing. I'm not saying don't learn from others, but these are things in my mind are not culture, which I have not normally noticed people point to as culture. So, like I said, everybody wants a six-pack, but six-pack requires work, which is what people are not willing to do, right? So, the wish is there, but the work ethic is not there. And I can understand why also, right? Because work is tough. I'm not going to come here and say, you should all enjoy work every day. What is that thing? Like if you find what you love to do, you will not work for a day of your life. I can understand the truth in that, but the reality is also that work in itself is tough. I don't know how it is here. In Chennai, to come to office, it will take you 1.5 hours to 2 hours. Weather is slightly different from Coimbatore. Traffic is slightly different. You guys don't know, you come to Chennai, then you'll know, right?
So it is like Chennai, Coimbatore means Chennai is also getting worse, Coimbatore is a little bit getting worse.
Yeah.
So there and now here, so.
No, I've heard people, like I said, I've been here for many years, but yeah, I'm not going there, but the point is, work is tough, right? It's not easy. So I can understand why people don't want to put the effort into. They're like, hey, I will come, I will do my job, I will do my best, right? I'll earn a salary, I'll learn, I'll grow, I'm going out. That's mindset is there, right? So the second thing is, somehow as companies grow, whether in size or in age, things tend to become worse, right? I mean, you've all heard of that. Newton's second law of thermodynamics, right? The entropy. Entropy means things always tend towards disorder. I mean, that's why if you leave something, it will rust over time, right? You all look very fit in college. 10-15 years, you'll start looking like us, right? You don't have to do anything. It just happens because anything over time tends to disorder. Right? So organizations are also like that. Everybody will say, oh, when I joined, it was like this. I'm talking about Coimbatore was like that. There is a nostalgia element, but there is also scientific truth behind it, which is things tend to get worse. Unless you are like Ronaldo working hard, if not harder, it's going to be very difficult to maintain that same level of fitness or physique. Right? Then there is the other thing, which no management talk should be without a Steve Jobs example. People are not using so much of Steve Jobs, again, as a generational issue, I think. He spoke about this thing called the gravitational pull of mediocrity. Typically, when it starts, you will try to hire the best people or the most committed people. And like you will have high standards, etc., etc., etc. But over time, your standard will drop. Okay, he's doing his work. So you might be A plus or A in the beginning, then you're okay with B plus. Then B plus will say it's okay with B. B will say C plus is okay. After a point of time, you will find you have a bloated organization, mostly with B or below players. It won't happen suddenly. It's not like tomorrow you'll suddenly have this. But over time, every organization goes towards mediocrity because the people start lowering their standards little by little. And it will always be a valid excuse. I don't have time. like even I think in the previous talk, Vishwa was saying, I'm not in every interview now. It's a problem. It's the practical issues, you cannot be in every interview as you scale, but the reality consequences, you will not have control over quality. It will happen. You are going to get pulled. So, even though work is difficult, we have this problem, which is organizations tend towards entropy or mediocrity. How do you solve it? The way to solve it is culture, right? So, that's why we come back to this, right? It's not to make people necessarily happy, nice alone, but this. So, what is culture? Couple of things. Culture is things that you see, like you might say, hey, flat hierarchy, fun, approachability, etc., respect, and all of those things. But that is what you see and experience. Right? The simplest example is I was having lunch with Thiru yesterday. I was saying, like if you go to a, where was that? Erode Amman Mesa. If you're late, it's crowded in Chennai, it's crowded in Coimbatore also, so there's no difference. The person who's managing it kind of comes and talks to you very nicely and says, sir, late aada, konja abdi ibdi. Chennai, nobody will bother. Right? Why are you here? Right? So, there is a behavior that you see, you experience, but that behavior is coming from certain values. It could be organizational values, or it could be that city has those values. It is there, right? So, culture is not too complicated. Basically, how things are done. Culture is not what you write down on a board, right? You will, it's every day, if I go to Ananda's next to Lulu Mall, I know the kind of service I will get, right? It's how they do things. It is how you do things, what you tolerate, and what you reward. It's not what you say. Everybody will say, I want a nice culture, I want to respect people, I want blah blah blah. But tomorrow, if something is happening and your best developer is being an ass, do you step in, or do you say, no, if he goes, what will I do? So, if you keep tolerating a-holes, that's your culture, right? It doesn't matter what you say, what you want, etc. Right? And yeah, like I said, end of the day, basically I'm saying, for me, performance or results matter over people. So culture is what happens when difficult things happen. When everything is going smoothly, fine. Let's say you hit a downturn. Do you immediately say, okay, I'm going to let go of so many people? Or is there a better way of doing it? That shows your value system, that shapes your culture. Typically, people try to do the reverse. They try to do behaviors. Every Friday we'll go out, pa. That is an activity, which is nice, but that's not necessarily what value is it rooted in. Sometimes as founders, your values organically come out. Like you don't sit down and say, these are my values, unless you go like what Vishwa was doing. Right? You naturally, hey, I enjoy doing this. Most things that happen in Kissflow is because Suresh and the other leaders like doing it. And I'll talk about some of those things. It's not like we decided to do this is a good thing. We enjoy this, we see some benefits, let's share it with people. That's all. Culture is not complicated. And when things go deviate, do you stand by your values, or do you like actually revealing your true values? So, like I said, every company has a culture, even if whether you're working on it or not. Because like I said, the first point is you are doing things. How you do things today is your culture. You maybe have not articulated it, maybe you have not actively shaped it, but every family, every culture, every college, every company, whatever group of people already has a culture. You have to discover it. The first step I did when I joined Kissflow was I spent 90 people were there. I spent 1.5 months talking to everybody. I would call them tidal. They will be in the third floor or second, I'll be in the first floor. NASCOM has an office there, I think. So I'll be in one cubicle, take the employee sheet, call one HR. I didn't even know that, right? Now the person who leads talent acquisition, Susan, is a very good friend. But I would just call her and she'll say, okay, I'm sending this person. That person will knock the door. That's the first time I'm seeing the person. I don't even know who they are. But I'll ask the simple questions. What do you enjoy about working here? Remember, this was when Orangescape was not famous at all. So the question is, why are you staying in a company which nobody's heard of? In Chennai, you had so many options. What do you enjoy most? What are we doing well? What could we do better? Just the same 5 questions I would ask everybody. Out of that, I got a understanding of what is Orangescape's culture. I didn't create Orangescape's culture. I had to understand it, what was working, and then amplify it and remove the bad bits, right? So you're not creating culture, you are discovering and shaping it. So culture is also strong or weak culture. It's not good, bad culture, right? If you as a founder, like you said, Vishwa is saying, this is how we do things, and you stand by it. You put your money and your time in it. For leader, the most valuable resource is time. Sometimes they even have money. So if the leader is putting his time in it, it will have a strong culture. If they are trying to outsource it, you'll have a weak culture. And it's not moral. Everybody will be like, either right or wrong. Now practical. Is it effective or not? Yeah, because we are not, of course there are ethical boundaries. I'm assuming everybody is ethical, but I am not doing, we are not a social organization. We are not doing things for the good. Sometimes we will do, but our primary thing is to be more effective. For you to be more effective also as an individual, not just the company. And by definition, that will be good, right? But we don't do things just because they are nice or good for people. Like, for example, do you offer food free? That's not a primary obligation. Our job is to make sure you are earning enough so that is not even a question for you. Because these things can become entitlements. What is given as a benefit over time becomes an entitlement. Then you cannot remove it. When you give it, people will be happy. They'll be very happy initially. After that, less happy. Then there'll be complaints about the food. And then finally, it'll be an entitlement. Oh, you're supposed to give. What else are you going to give? That game you can never win, right? So you have to find out what's practical, right? And lastly, it is not fixed. Culture is changing. Like you're saying, no, Coimbatore is also changing. It is changing. It is collection of people. Everything is changing. Outside environment, business dynamics are changing. The different generations are coming into the workplace. So your culture will change. You have to adapt. So that Jim Collins had this famous thing where he said, how do you preserve the core and yet stimulate progress? It's not this or that. That's the tough part about culture. Number one, you have to know what your core is and then preserve it. At the same time, you have to stimulate progress. Only then you can be relevant in the marketplace. How do you do both? That is culture. So culture is actually all of this, right? For you to understand, maybe when you use the word culture, hopefully you will have a more nuanced understanding of what it is, not a very superficial understanding. So, end of the day, like we said, everybody wants a six-pack, but not everybody wants to work for it. But why does culture matter? Because when you find those people who are willing to put in that effort, you create magic. Why do you spend so much time in hiring? It is hard, but if you find that 1 or 2 or 3 people, they will save you long-term headache of 10 mediocre or average or even above average people. You don't put in that effort now, 1 year later, you will be constantly micromanaging, you will have to constantly do and hire somebody to fill in the gap of this person. So, the thing is, one of the things I really enjoy about work is coming in and I know I'm working with other people who are equally committed and smart. If that is not there, what is culture? Culture is not a substitute for that. Culture is to ensure you are having committed, smart people there, right? Because that's where the magic happens. That's why you enjoy work. You're working on something that you are personally very excited about. It could be a problem, it could be a vision, it could be anything. It's challenging for you. And then you have people whom you can count on to support you in that. Not you have to motivate, blah, blah, blah. That is an additional problem now, right? So that is what we are looking, that is why culture matters, right? Because you create magic. You cannot do anything alone. I think the moment I realize that and you realize that, it's amazing. No matter how smart you are, whatever it is, there's very little we can do alone. You always need a team. right? Tight, formal, informal, doesn't matter. You need a team network. Culture is about getting that right team. Now I'm just going to share a few things that we can do practically. Just give me 10 minutes and I'll wrap up. There are many things you can do. How do you do it? Which is the question he asked. Right? Okay, இதெல்லாம் நல்லா இருக்கு, எப்படி பண்ணலாம்? The word I keep using, and since my team is here, they would have heard it many times, is leverage. It is not effort, it is leverage. It's not even commitment, it's about leverage. Leverage, I mean, this famous quote by Archimedes, I don't know if you've heard it. Archimedes, everybody remembers that bathroom, Eureka, then Eureka Forbes, right? But Archimedes had this important point on leverage. Leverage, basically he said, I can move the earth if you give me a point outside the earth and a lever long enough. Basically saying, evlo perusa irundhalum, I can still do it provided I know where to put in the effort. Leverage basically says where you put in the effort, not how much you put effort. So culture change pannuna, whether you are a 10-member company, 50, 100, 200, 400, 500, you need to find the point of leverage. There are only 4 simple points. First one, we've already spoken about this. You need to know how to hire. And you need to put in that effort. You need to be ruthless about hiring. You cannot say, I'll take anybody and then train them. Right? Might work for interns, freshers, little bit, but definitely more senior people and all, it's very tough. Right? Number 2, manage performance, which is basically starting with goal setting. If there are 10 people in your team, if I ask all of 10 of them, just give them each a piece of paper and ask them what are the top 3 goals that you're working on for the next quarter. Each person will write something. They won't be wrong, but they won't be the same. So how can you be a team if all of you are not aligned? Right? You're all doing, then they'll all feel, I've achieved my goals, no? He'll also say, this is like operation successful, patient dead. You need to be working towards the team goal. Your tasks might be different, but the goals are not different. Right? These are simple things which people don't do. 3 is you have to over communicate. You're almost like a parent. Every day you have to go. They should get sick and tired of hearing your voice. But they'll get sick and tired, but they'll have no doubt. Right? It's like some people say, no? Like if you have more than one, any of you have more than one kid? Yeah. It's not like you're saying, I told my first kid, so I will not tell my second kid. You know you have to repeat the same process with every kid. Same thing with the employees. First, when I started, next I did for my reportees, now it is their job. Boss, it won't work. If it's your company, you need to, just like if you are a parent, you have to make sure, of course your first kid can help you take care of the second kid, but they cannot raise your second kid. Right? Same thing here. Every time we initially do a lot for our first few reportees, first few employees, it gradually reduces. We go on to do more important things. And then, so you have to over communicate. Any channel, right? Of course, because of scale, the methodology you use will be different. You might not have so many one-on-ones, but you still have to communicate. Lastly, the personal connect has to be there. You still need to know them as individuals, they need to know you as individuals. The moment they come into the office, and it happens sometimes these days, are they in our company? If you can recognize them only with their tag, if I don't know something about them, something has gone wrong. Right? You should be able to know each person by name. I think we were able to, I mean, till about 450, was still able to do it. Right? It is important. How do we do that? I'm going to share now. Right? But identify leverage points. Don't try to do something or the other. Oh, culture is important. I will go and do something, and then you'll get frustrated or burnt out. It'll just be one more to-do thing in your item. So like I said, these are maybe 5 things Kissflow does, just a sample. Like I said, how do you decide how to hire? We have something called value alignment discussion. Typically what the final round of every interview used to be done by Suresh, because he instinctively knew what to look for in a person. As a founder, you know that. Like you can't put everything on a JD and ask somebody to assess and all of that. When you talk, you'll know this person is a right fit or not. It's not just as simple as seeing a CV and deciding. Right? So we came up, okay, how do you systematically replicate Suresh's gut. That was a challenge, problem statement, right? Because if you have to hire 400 people, you have to probably interview 4,000 people, a very rough approximate. He can't do that, right? He still sits in the final round for important positions, but my team, which is here, they also started doing it. From Suresh, I started doing it. Then the others started doing it. The reason we were able to do it is because, right, we had this clear value alignment. Okay, maybe I'll show you a sample of the report. I think that might be how it will look, right? This is created 2020, right? Started. So basically, we have our values. So we say, hey, this is what you need to assess for. We assess for the themes, not the values. This is a public document. I can share it with you later on. Based on their experience level, we bucket them into categories. We do behavioral event interviewing. So we even put down the questions, right? This is called a semi-structured interview, which means first question is fixed. Every other question depends on the response people have given. Dinesh has gone through this assessment, I think. Dinesh's report might be here in case you want to see it. So they go through this, and finally we evaluate them on the values, how they are. I'll show you a sample report. So this is somebody, you've seen, I've hidden off the names and all of that, which employee group they are. So we give them their strengths, right? So this is a report we create. Then areas of concern, right? What are the challenges we've noticed? Then overall point of view, right? So in the அளவுக்கு detailed we do for a person, right? Right. Some of the discussions happened in the office. What is, like, this was a marketing person, I think. So something interesting that stood out. We create this package, and this is taken as part of the final interview. In fact, after somebody joins, so you know the amount of detail that goes in. Somebody joins the company, 1 week after they join, we walk them through their report. So that candidate is now an employee. We call their manager, we call the employee, and we spend 15 to 20 minutes, walk them through their report. So the reason being, we are telling them, hey, this is not just a hiring tool, we want you to get better. So we are showing you what you're good at, what are the gaps. So you and your manager from day one can start working on this. We don't want this to be a surprise. Remember I said we want you to be effective, right? So this is an example of a value alignment discussion.
So, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
While I was being interviewed as well, same Abhishek was the one who took the culture round. Before that, the VP and the CPO, they did. And the person clearly told that if you don't pass cultural round, you will not be hired. And there were people who crossed even CEO's round. But if he says no, they will be hiring his. So
Yeah.
this is not one another HR round, the final round.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Thanks, Dinesh. Most companies have HR round as almost like a formality. Here it matters. The culture round, we take it seriously, right? Because we've realized the importance. In fact, we send this to the.
On a personal experience, I didn't even chat with him. He made me to sweat there.
That is சென்னைனால நினைக்கிறேன். அப்போ அது talent தான். So, but this is not a surprise, guys. Like, it's not like a surprise quiz. So we send this. This wouldn't have been there when Dinesh was there. I think the recruiters were talking about it. We send this document to the candidate saying what is the value alignment discussion, எதுக்காக, the why we do it, your skill, will and our desires align ada, what is Kissflow's values, and then what is each interview doing. Like your previous rounds will be testing your skill, intelligence. We will test your values and intelligence. And enna value na, what do we mean? We are trying to understand your mindset, desire, drive, approach to work, etc. Right? So in the alavukku clarity, what is our approach? How can you prepare? Right? This is like a 5-page document that is sent. And even like I told you, right, after it the report is created which includes all of this. Post joining we will share it with you, blah blah blah. This is how you systematically do it. It's like seems like a lot, but it's just like 1 hour work, right? Then once you identify this is my leverage point, you put effort there, you will see results. right? Then it's about consistently applying it, right? So this is an example of value alignment. Yeah.
I'm sure this is done before ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So all these subjective inference from the points, how do you assess and quantify whether is there a range or what do you look for in each of those values?
I think those values, the themes in it, it's very. So I told you I interviewed 90 people. So these, these core values will be similar across companies, right? So ChatGPT will probably give you this. But the themes on the right are very unique, like you spoke about the support and all of that. So, idu vandu you will.
The keyword the person shares when he explains it, then
You will see, once you know what to look for, then you will know what to ask. Then when they share, you will. So it's not like a specific keyword. That's why we gave the questions also, because you can't look for something. It's like I can't test your math skills by asking you science questions. So interview, final round, HR round will typically be all over the place because they are not clear what they are looking for. Fitta vanannu kepanga, but அந்த clarity இல்ல. நாங்க வந்து இந்த வேல்யூக்கு நீ இந்த கேள்வி கேட்டாதான் what achievement are you proud of?
it's actually binary, whether he has it or not.
No, it's actually degrees. That is the rating framework you will see here. Strongly displayed, somewhat present, not present. Not present la irundhuchna varadhu. So maximum 30, 6 values irukku, 5 points போட்டிங்கனா maximum 30 வரும். So அதான் போட்டிருக்கோம்ல 26 to 30 na A plus you will select. We select A plus or A for anybody above 8 years. B plus for junior roles. Anything below B plus we don't select. B plus we don't select for senior also because we believe more or less they are set. இதுக்கப்புறம் நாங்களா மாற்ற முடியாது. They won't, see, it's not that they are bad people. It's just that we know they won't fit us or the chances of them fitting us are less. அந்த மாதிரி. This evolved over time. Like I said, this document was 2020. The latest I showed you was 2025. We are still improving. Is that okay? This is a like learning and bonding. Like this is a book we read together. So LSD, Leadership and Self-Deception. I would encourage you guys to pick this book up. It talks very fundamentally about how to have interpersonal relationships. But the way we do it is what is unique. We run it like a classroom. இது மாதிரிலாம் யாரும் பண்ணியிருக்க மாட்டாங்கன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். So 32 batches, everybody in the company goes through it. இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு டைம் டேபிள் போட்டுருவோம், ரைட்? லைக் ஸோ இது வந்து லேட்டஸ்ட் டைம் டேபிள். ஸோ 15th every evening 4 to 5. So each, and the book is divided into so many chapters. Audible கேட்போம். So we listen to the book together. So everybody comes in, they log in online or in office. There will be one senior person. These are all, like I said, no, if the leaders are not involved, it won't work. She heads our implementation and customer success team. This is a CPO. He is one of our VPs of engineering. He is one of our directors of product management, director in marketing. So all of that there, all the way up to Suresh. So everybody is spending little bit of time with all the new joinees who come. They are in batches of 15, right? So right now, when I go, I have to do this session on Monday, Tuesday, right? So this is how we ensure that something core learning is being shared with everybody. So Kissflow போயிட்டு in the box, out of the box என்னன்னு கேட்டிங்கன்னா எல்லாத்துக்கும் புரியும். So it is also holding us accountable. This is a way you transmit cultural values. Like everybody goes through it, it's constantly reinforced. In fact, leaders might think they are coming and teaching, but there's actually a subtle way of reminding the leaders. You can't take sessions for leaders all the time. They'll be like, I know it. எனக்கே சொன்னால் நான் வந்து எனக்கெல்லாம் தெரியும். பட் நீங்கள் போய் டீச் பண்ணுங்கன்னு சொன்னீங்கன்னா they are actually learning, right? That is these are some hacks we found out. So, I can tell you how to do it. See, it's an audible book, so you just listen to it and rendu moon kelvi keppom avladha. It's not too much. So the load on the leader is also, they don't have to prepare and come. We give them audible. We also give them a summary document. So on the chapter enna kada. And the beautiful thing about this is typically fiction books are nice, interesting stories. Non-fiction management books are boring. School book mari irukum. This is a management fable, which means it's like a story of a guy, right? It's a story of this guy, Tom and இதெல்லாம் புக்கில் இருக்காது, இதெல்லாம் நாங்களே க்ரியேட் பண்ணோம் பிஃபோர் சாட் ஜிபிடி, ரைட்? இந்த ஆளுடைய ஸ்டோரி இதுதான், அவருடைய மேனேஜரு, அவங்களுடைய கதை என்ன நடக்குதுன்னு. அண்ட் அஃப்கோர்ஸ் அவன் ஆஃபீஸில் என்ன ஃபேஸ் பண்ணுறானோ வீட்டில் ஒய்ஃப் அண்ட் வைசி வர்ஸா, வீட்டில் என்ன நடக்குதோ ஆஃபீஸில் இம்பேக்ட் ஆகும். ஸோ ஆல் ஆஃப் தட் இட்ஸ் அ ஸ்டோரி. ஸோ வி ஜஸ்ட் ரீட் த ஸ்டோரி, ரைட்? Again, during COVID time, we couldn't come to office and learn. So Suresh did it for his leadership team, and then we were like, it's so good, let's do it for everybody. So we did it for the entire company in batches. So at one point of time, Kissflow was like a university. Morning or batch nadakum, afternoon இன்னொரு batch nadakum. Now, so I was managing it along with, I think Ruhaya was there as part of the team. At the time, a very small team. We would be scheduling it and running it. We'll be jumping from this. Then we said, okay, புதுசாக ஜாயின் பண்ணாங்கன்னா அவங்களுக்கு எப்படி, they will miss out. We'll all be saying இது பற்றி, but it will not continue. So we said every time people join, like once in 2 months, we'll put them together. It's also a nice way for different departments to connect with each other, and they'll be a cohort, and the new joinees will also feel they have exposure to senior leaders from other departments, whether they are working remotely or in person. So this was, so idan the leverage in Pakapo, you will do multiple things to solve one problem. Right? Let me just quickly rush. I know.
So in this one personal example is Kaushik was the one under the schedule that Kaushik, he was.
He's in Coimbatore. You should call him actually. He's in Coimbatore. He's hiding here. Right? He's brilliant in product management. Brilliant.
Myself and while I was joined.
Sorry, he's working on the AI product that I told you about. You might be interested. Yeah, go ahead.
You will get him next time.
We were on the cohort where Kaushik is about to take. Now Kaushik is more because we were
I'll get it.
CEO சரி CEO இதான் பெருசு, இது வந்து நாங்கள் வந்து பின் பண்ணோம். அது மாதிரி கௌஷிக் வந்து சுரேஷோட மீட்டிங். கௌஷிக் என்கிட்ட எதுவும் சொல்ல, சுரேஷ்க்கு டேரெக்டாக ஃபோன் பண்ணி எல்எஸ்டி செஷன் இருக்குது, நீங்கள் ஏன் அவங்க லிஸ்ட் இருக்கீங்க, சுரேஷ் டேரக்டிவோ ஒரு ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஒரு. ஸோ தட் வாஸ் த திங் வை தட் த கம்பெனி இஸ் கிவிங் இம்பார்ட்டன்ஸ் ஃபார் திஸ்.
இது நல்லது, அதான் சொல்கிறேன், இது நல்லது. நீங்கள் டைம் இருந்தால் பண்ணுங்கள் பாஸ், திஸ் இஸ் இம்பார்ட்டண்ட், திஸ் மேட்டர்ஸ் டு த கம்பெனி. தேங்க்யூ. யூ மேக் டைம் ஃபார் திஸ், ரைட்? Again, this doesn't mean it's easy. Like even now, we have interns who will come and not show up, right? We have to reinforce. That's like the third or fourth kid you have. You have to keep telling. You become a grandfather also, you have to keep telling the grandkid, right? This is not how you do it. We can't blame them. We can't say, oh, in the generation they don't have attention span. No. We'll find out how to tweak it and all of that. Then G to G, or good to great. It's actually a name of a book. This used to be a Friday time where there will be learning, bonding and fun. So our tagline was, if you're not learning, you're not growing. And we didn't have separate things for fun, separate things for learning. அது பார்த்தீங்கன்னா அது டைட்டில் சும்மா எல்லாருமே வந்து full office அங்கே வந்து உட்காந்துருவாங்க. Somebody will come and teach something interesting. There will be some activities, some games, learning, and each week there will be something different happening, right? So, but the ritual may remain, which is we will all, at that time I think it used to be 5:30 to 6:30 in the evening, before Friday evening, because anyway you are checking out, 5 to 6 or 5:30 6. Come sit there and have entire department is learning and connecting with each other. The energy was amazing, right? Now we are trying to do it once a month because of all these co-working, what is it? Hybrid work. We've changed to remote return to office now, right? But yeah, scale panapo, this was a problem we had. Like, how do you bring 400 people together and it's not meaningful? We had to figure it out, but it was a lot of fun. This is lunch with CEO. Like, what happens is, like we said, you have to maintain a personal connect with people. You also have to eat, right? So Suresh, what he does is, twice in a week, right, he meets with different people. Like 5 people different pick பண்ணுவோம். Sometimes we might pick new joinees, sometimes we might pick folks from a particular department, sometimes you might pick leads, or something will be common about them. In fact, we picked alumni also, people who've left Kissflow, and we've called them for a meeting, for a lunch meeting. There is no agenda. It is just getting to know each other better, just chatting about whatever is on your mind, right? But it has to be managed. So our team manages it. This time, Ruhaya is actually leading this. So you have to organize all of this, but the main thing is Suresh has one-on-one time, and the employee also feels no matter how busy things are, blah, 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 or how many levels are there, I can still have direct access to Suresh, right? He's not a CEO or a founder who's sitting in a different office room. Because in Tidal, now we are in World Trade Center, Tidal it was just one open floor. So everybody would see everybody. But now little bigger, like compartmentalized, it's a little bit like India, Pakistan. They go to that side, they don't come this side, right? So how do you still maintain that connect? We do lunch with CEO. These are all like simple things. Like I said, once a year we ensure we have a proper AMA. So everybody can ask questions, however tough, with Suresh. We do it twice a year, actual or technical, but AMA we do it once a year. This is again a ritual. We make sure nobody can come and say, I don't know, why are we not asking these things? Why are we not talking about these things? So again, no subject is off limit. Ask any question you want. He will answer it publicly in front of everybody.
Anonymous, yeah, so we can answer.
That's always a debate. We feel like, why are you asking pretty anonymous? Because what is that question that you can ask? You ask openly. But we also practically we realize sometimes you have to give that anonymity for people to ask. But it's always a debate that we have. Should we allow people to ask questions anonymously? Like if you don't have the guts to put your name, like he's asking like, what is it that we will do? Worst case, I'm just saying, this doesn't happen. They ask you to leave the company, so what? You will find another job easily. You're good enough. Nothing, there's no power that the company has over you. Your manager doesn't have that much power. We always tell people, you have more power than you think, and we have less power than you think we do, right? So it's always that mix. How do you systematically do it? Now we've started something called Culture Super App, Kalpananta. So இது வந்து எப்படின்னா ஒரு தடவை survey கேட்டால் people don't respond. Like once a year people will do great place to work. We also do that for external benchmarking. But the best thing is culture is what happens to you every now and then. So you should ask people questions now and then, but not ask so many questions that they will just select 4, right? So Kalpananta எப்படின்னா இப்போ என்னோட chatக்கு போனேன்னா, so there in GChat we use GChat, migrated from Slack because we are on Google Suite. So it will just ask a question. When was the last time an experimental idea was brought out and implemented by your team? It will just give you some options. Let's say, I will say this. Then what will happen is, this is the actual app we built in Kissflow itself. So it's not let's say ready built for this, but we still managed to do it. So எனக்கு என்ன வரும்னா இந்த மாதிரி I will get a overall culture, sorry, where is it? Yeah, I think I should show, it will take some time. I will get a overall happiness score of the team, and we believe happiness or culture, is based on these 4 things: meaningful work, compensation, growth, culture. So these questions are what is asked, and எனக்கு வந்து as a manager எனக்கு போடும் எந்த ஸ்கோருக்கு வந்து உங்களுக்கு லோவாக இருக்குது உங்கள் டீமில், right? It won't tell me who's scored what. So that level of anonymity we give. So I know, okay, the question was, do you feel your role allows you to use your strengths? See, some of these deliberately, my teammate Aparna built it, so she will deliberately put some negative things so that we can see what happens, right? This is more of a testing thing. But it'll also give a recommendation. So if you are a lead or manager, which score your team is low, என்ன பண்ணணும் அப்படின்ட்டு வரும். தென் ட்ரெண்டும் காமிக்கும். ஓகே, எப்படி உங்கள் ட்ரெண்ட் இருக்குது உங்கள் டீமில், எந்த கொஸ்டின்ஸ் வந்து லோவஸ்ட் ஆவரேஜாக இருக்குது, ஹையஸ்ட்டாக இருக்குது. ஆல் ஆஃப் திஸ் யூ கேன் see, right? So when you're scaling, you need to have some of these systematic things also. Not everything can be personal, like everything cannot be a meeting, everything cannot be an event, அந்த மாதிரி. right? So we send this to the org. So இதில் தான் உங்கள் documentation also matters. நீங்கள் வந்து சும்மா எதுன்னு சொல்ல முடியாது. Happiness meets high performance. So என்ன பண்ணணும்? So this document we send to the managers, to the people, etc. Right? So அவங்களுக்கும் புரியும், ஓ எதுக்கு பண்ணுறோன்ட்டு. இல்லாட்டி why would they respond to a survey? So we are also educating people on what to look for, how they can manage their own career. Right? We are not, like you said, it's not ground up or top down, it's both. We need to educate them on what to do, and then they can like tell us what they feel around it. Because I believe culture means you cannot solve every problem of individuals. That is not your role, right? Even with the best culture, you will have 101 issues. Like I'm saying Coimbatore is really great, but of course there are a lot of issues, right? So you're not aiming for perfection. That is a wrong either to put. But you have to have clarity in what you're doing. Right? So இந்த லெவலுக்கு தாட் லைக் வேல்யூ அலைன்மெண்ட் டிஸ்கஷன் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா அதுக்கு ஒரு கிளியர் டாக்குமெண்ட் இருந்துச்சு, தென் சிஸ்டம் இருந்துச்சு, அது இருக்குது. ஸோ அதே மாதிரி கல்ச்சர் சூப்பர் ஆப்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா தாட் ப்ராசஸ், சிஸ்டம் அண்ட் ரெகுலர் டேட்டா பாயிண்ட்ஸ் ஆர் கம்மிங் அவுட். அதர்வைஸ் எவ்ரி திங் வில் பி டூ மச் ஆஃப் ஒர்க் லோட். I think I will stop with this. Maybe last thing, I know if your questions ask, then maybe I'll go into this. But for you, let me just simplify all of this. Summary, I will tell you, if you are managing a team, leading a team, running a company, there are only 3 things you need to look for. 1, do I have the right people? It's yes or no, but the right வந்து define பண்ணுறது is a longer process. You'll have skill, you'll have expertise or skill, you'll have values, all of those components. It's unique for the industry you are in, the kind of roles you're looking for, etc. But you need to have this clarity. Do I have the right people? Are they in the right seats? Meaning this person is really good, but is not fit in the role. Maybe you need to move them into somebody. Somebody is a developer, maybe he's actually a PM, right? Or maybe a designer. Somebody is in marketing, maybe they are actually a PM. I don't know, right? You need to figure out, are they in the right seats? Lastly, are they doing the right things? I have very, very talented people, very committed people in the right roles, but are they putting their energy in the same direction, which is where you saw the performance management piece. The 300 movie like kepanla. Have you seen this movie 300? Again, then there's this famous scene where like the 2 armies meet, and this guy on the right is like saying, oh, you're only bringing 300 people, you've only brought 300 soldiers. So I've brought like பின்னாடி திரும்பி பார்த்தா நிறைய பேர் இருப்பாங்க. So this Leonidas, the king of Sparta, will ask the other people, what is your profession? And one will say, I'm a metal smith, I'm a plumber ன்னு சொல்ல மாட்டான். But they will all be saying this, they are also soldiers. Whereas he will ask, Leonidas will ask his team, what is your profession? Warriors. They are the right people for that job, so they don't need the crowd. Right? So that is the thing. Also doing this is different from only doing this. That is the right person in the right seat doing the right thing. So if you are going out, what is it that you need to look for? Number 1, clarity. Like I said, this is not a prescription. What do you want? What is the kind of company you want? Which is what Vishwa was talking about, right? He wanted a certain kind of company, so he did certain things. It's not saying you do these things. You need to have clarity. Number 2, you need to be personally convinced that this is good for your company. இல்லைன்னா பண்ணாதீங்க. Oh, pannati, what will they feel? It will not good look. They'll go and put something on Glassdoor or whatever. It's okay. Do what you are personally convinced about. Don't be limited by your current understanding. அதான் சொன்னேன், clarity enlarge ஆக your understanding will increase, but you do things which you are personally convinced about, however small or silly it might seem. Like Girish in Freshworks, the simplest thing he used to do is take them for Rajnikant movies. Why? He likes Rajnikant. So movie vanda ticket vaangalantu. Just like a founder operating a business took you a lot of courage, safe thing is just to go and work in a company. அதே மாதிரி கல்ச்சரில் நீங்கள் பண்ணப்போ you have to have a lot of conviction, courage. ஐடியா நிறைய பேருக்கு தெரியும், but they won't have the courage to apply it. and also continue to do it when things are going bad. Like I said, if somebody is not doing well, do you have the courage to confront that person and tell them you're doing a great job, but the way you're working with people is messing up the entire team? It's not going to work out. Either you change or we will have to move out. Do you have the courage to stand by your conviction? Last, very simple, you have to be consistent. It's not about doing big things, one big event, we went out on a trip. Those are good memories, very good, but your day to day is what is going to affect people. So when you do these things, imagine in the beginning I said work is very boring, work is tough, but actually work will be fun only. Like I said, when I said culture is not people having fun, but if you have the right culture, people will enjoy work. And typically when you ask me, will I be in Kissflow? Yeah, I'm having fun. And I think that's what we are aiming for. Right? I know I took more time than I wanted to. Apologize for that. Yeah, but that's pretty much it. What I wanted to share.
So I'm just like trying to.
I told you in the beginning, and the warning sign adha kodutha. My job is to if you guys came looking for clarity, premature clarity. We use a term called premature optimization. Right? Problem is full of puriradhukku munadi answer kandupidikirathu. We always tell, don't try to optimize or arrive at a conclusion right now. You have just been given a lot of data points. Process it. See what makes sense, what doesn't make sense. Give it time for that. Then you arrive at conclusions. Most of us are engineering background. We immediately look for the right answer. If then.
Abhishek, you mentioned about this lunch plan with CEO. So we do try those in our office whenever checking for CTO or CEO comes. But it is more of a fundamentally making them sit. That is on a plan. But